This illustration deals with bushed conduit and tubing in accordance with 392.46, A as in apple and B as in boy. The purpose of change was to provide a new section. And this new section has been added and accepted to clarify that a box shall not be required where cables or conductors are installed in bushed conduit and tubing used for support or for protection against physical damage where the conductors or cables transition to a raceway wiring method from a cable tray. Now, for example, if we looked at the illustration to the left, top side of the illustration, so to speak, first, let's review this call out at the very top, and it's titled and reads, conduit opening or opening should be sealed, 392.46. They're sealed so stuff won't collect inside the equipment and maybe get on the, insulate the terminals and things of that nature. So you notice that the flanged opening shown with the arrow there is sealed, and then you have a bonding jumper there that is based upon the size of the conductors that's inside, and also it is sized based upon the metal thickness of the tray. And we know we can get that in our table in 392 to size that. Now, if you look at the bonding disconnect segment in the arrow showing there, that's 392.60B4, 250.96, and 250.102 tells you all about that bonding and what's required to make sure you can transfer any kind of fault that would develop inside the equipment that needed to go travel over that bonding jumper, or it just bonds the cable tray into the enclosure. We know those rules. And again, what's ahead of the tray? And we're talking about to the right. Is there an overcurrent device ahead of all those conductors? Or do they come off of a transformer winding, come from a weather head? You know, we have to look at that. Then we know if we use table 250.122 to size the bonding jumper, or we use our table 250.102, C as in car 1, to size it based upon the largest conductors. So we have to review that. Now, secondly then, notice the arrow pointing to the wiring methods. It's entering a ring, bush, or fitting. Now, what type of fitting are we talking about there? Well, let's go over and look at your fittings. To the right. It's right at the bottom. And notice, let's look at the bottom fittings. And notice we have bush, conduit, and fittings listed here. Flange connections, all complying with 392.46 A and B. And they're used on conduit, tubing, and cables, entering cable trays, per just as outlined in 392.46, A is in apple, and it's B is in boy. And that's that information right below these fittings. Then it shows again the bonding jumper, and it shows the cables coming in, and your support rules when you have to support and all that, and 392.6A. It deals with continuous trays. A tray that takes an elevation change or a directional change is listed there so that we know we don't even have to have a fitting as long as the authority having jurisdiction okays our type of installation that we may have. So if you look at tubing fittings, and that's up at the top, you see you have a compression fitting, set screw, compression type connector, and it could be also a set screw type. But notice that the reason we list these fittings, you notice this conduit is connected into this enclosure here on this piece of equipment, and it's also connected into the bottom of the tray. So we're using fittings and coupling where it's necessary for that, and that would be self-bonding fittings, and we would be completely through there. But again, we could spend all day on these cable trays if we really wanted to go through them in detail. And we are saying, just for the sake, this is a motor control center or a switch gear as the arrow points out. And then we tell you in the also call out, please see 392.30B4, 392.10, and 392.44. And then this new section comes together in a more usable, and it clarifies it a lot better so that we understand why this new section was accepted and added.